Hello and welcome to Pop Snitch Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel.
And I'm Brandon.
Hey, we are freshly back in New York City after spending a week in the South to see our families. And last night when we came home, our dog thought that he was living through numb because the fireworks were insane in New York City this year.
Yeah, I mean, he's out of control every single time, but this was especially bad. And
Yeah.
we talked to our dog like he's an actual son. So we paused all of our TV shows and sat him down and we're like, we're going to protect you. There's nothing that's going to happen tonight that's going to be, that we can't protect you from. So don't freak out, blah, 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 blah. And I mean,
he's still freaked out.
I felt completely insane doing it, but, I just feel like since we don't have children, it's incumbent upon us to treat this dog the best we possibly can. So that's kind of where that comes from.
Yeah, he lives a very charmed life. I'll say that. We also were in the airport in Charlotte yesterday, and you need to tell people, I feel like you will only know this reference if you are elbow deep into Summer House. But Brandon, tell them who you thought you saw.
So I'm walking through the Charlotte airport and I literally stopped myself in my tracks and I felt all the air leave my body because I was so excited that I thought that Stravi had run into me, Lindsay Hubbard's ex-boyfriend. And this man looked exactly like Stravi, but then with closer inspection, it was not him. But I was like, wow, you're really deep into the Bravo universe when you are literally so excited to see a very tertiary character in an airport. So that's where we're at.
It's so true. This guy was also 10 years younger for sure. And 100% my height, which I speculate that Stravi is probably 5'8". So this guy was a little bit shorter. But yeah, it was when you said you thought it was him, I looked at him and thought, oh my God, is it? But no, he was not in the Charlotte airport on July 4th, unfortunately for us.
And just to give our listeners, who are many who don't even watch the shows that we talk about, this man was the temporary boyfriend of Lindsay Hubbard, who's one of the titular characters of the Summer House. And during the COVID year, when he was working in hospitality and having to be on Zooms from sun up to sundown, Lindsay would come in during his Zoom meetings and be like, why are you not making me a sandwich?
No,
why are
you so no, you're so wrong. I love that you were speaking on this you knew what you were talking about, and you literally could not be more wrong.
Right,
she was mad at him. Oh my God. This is why you can't let a man explain things. You're mansplaining it incorrectly. Okay, so she was frustrated with him because he was working at really late hours. My guess is that he had customers on the West Coast, so he was taking very late meetings. And she would only do this when she was really drunk, which was most of the time because it was the COVID season. But she got upset with him because every time she walked into their room, he would be like, hey, can you get me this? Hey, can you get me that? And she's like, I'm asking you to come film this TV show with me that you're getting paid for, and you won't leave this little stand of a desk you've made.
See,
and then,
I think...
nope, wait.
Okay,
and then
well, let me explain
she came in and he said, will you make me a sandwich? And it threw her over the edge. And that's where she gets that infamous line, how many sandwiches have you made for me? And
good point.
So you were so off base.
What I will say, this is what I love about watching these shows with you, is because I watch these shows as a complete and utter blank slate. I don't know anything about the people. I don't know what's going on in their private lives. I don't know backstories. I don't know anything. And then after the fact, after I've already made my assumptions about who these people are and who's the villain and who's you give me all of this backstory and I'm like, wow, he really was a jerk, or she really was, a jerk, or no, they're completely, in a court of law, they'd be found not guilty because of this information. And what I did not even see, this is why I love it, is because I did not even think about the fact that the reason that she's wanting him to come out is not because she necessarily feels like he's not being present with her. It's because he's getting paid to make the show that they are there filming, and he's on his Zoom probably making $50,000 a year as a hotel manager during a season where there's no one going to hotels.
Well, and she's trying to the whole thing when you first start the show, it was interesting. We heard Paige talked about this on Giggly Squad recently, that when you start filming, they'll be like, hey, what's the story that you want to tell this year? Lindsay's story was that this was the same year as her timeline, right? Like, we're going to move in together. We're going to get married next year. We're going to have a baby in 2 years. Like, she had that's like where the entire timeline joke stems from.
Right.
And she was trying to tell the story, which is her job. And again, he's getting paid and he's living in the Hamptons during this time and he won't come out. And then he tries to do that grand gesture that was like, I am not one for grand gestures. I've never cared about that. I've never cared about a lot of the stuff that a lot of women do. But even I was like, you got her fish and chips on her birthday and she is Lindsay Hubbard. Have you met her?
So this woman is admittedly, I would say, high maintenance.
Absolutely.
You know, yeah. I think she would say that. I think her friends would say that. Okay.
I can't drink my coffee.
Absolutely not. That is like that's going to be in everyone's ear, ice rattling around in a cup and slurping.
Okay, well, God forbid I enjoy a caffeinated beverage.
Absolutely not.
Okay, well, I'm just going to be
protecting our
mean to you.
listeners. Okay, great, perfect. But she's high maintenance, and she even says to him during one of their fights, like, "Look, you know, we've been fighting. Things have not been good, but I need you to make my birthday special. Like, I need you to go above and beyond. That's something that I value. And so, like, if you're wanting to please me, you're wanting to be with me. Like, I know I can be a lot, but my birthday needs to be on par with these kinds of things." She even gives him examples.
She does. Well, and the craziest thing is that this is the same year that Carl's brother dies on her birthday.
Yes.
So, and that happens early in the morning. So this man knows, wow, one of her best friend's brothers has died, which is already going to put, I mean, not to be insensitive to Carl, but a pretty big damper on the day.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think even Carl even said, he's like, I feel really bad about this because, like, I'm very sad. My brother is dead.
Yeah.
But it's going to ruin Lindsay's birthday. And Lindsay's birthday is the most important thing to her ever.
And knowing all of this information, Stravi gets takeout and puts it outside on the windiest day possible. The fact that her entire breasts were not out the entire time, which she loves bringing them out, but it was like windy, things were blowing off the table, everything was in styrofoam. It was tough.
There were no candles laid out, or if there was like 2 little votives. The wind was blowing like crazy. He forgot silverware. This man, oh my word. And like, she, to her credit, and this is why, like, I will not allow people to rewrite history about Lindsay Hubbard. She tried with everything in her countenance to hold it together for him and say, thank you so much for this.
Well,
I
he
really
was the one that was
it.
like, I worked really hard on this. Are you not grateful? And that broke her.
Yeah, she was fully going to eat it and be like, you know, maybe this, and probably break up with him because of it. But she was going to be like,
I don't think she was going to eat it. But
no, that's what I'm saying. Like, but she was going to say that made the decision for her in that moment. It's like, if this may be all he's capable of, and if that's the fact, then we're not going to be together.
Yeah, and this is the same guy. Another infamous Summer House storyline is that she was like trying to explain to him why their communication was so bad, and needed him to like let her know that he heard her, and he sent her a PowerPoint of their relationship, and she was willing to take that as romantic until everyone was like, no, like, if you have to put together PowerPoint slides to pretend like you guys are good for each other. Because one thing about Lindsay, she will stay with someone and do the work. She'll go to therapy 7 times a week. She will do what needs to be done, but she is an extremely demanding partner. And I still think she's still with her baby daddy right now, but says that she's not, to give him a little bit more privacy. That's still my conspiracy.
But I think that another lesson here is that for women, like, if you are communicating to that level, like, this is important to me, it needs to be this certain way, or I will be upset, and then your partner can't meet you there, that's time to shut the door on it.
Yeah. And honestly, she's so lucky that they got into that fight and she didn't settle for him. Imagine being married to Stravi instead of having a baby with this incredibly wealthy, handsome man who's like in love with her, and she's got this like ginormous, incredible apartment now. Her life did not work out according to her timeline, but she's gotten everything she wanted. So I'm honestly very happy for her. Lindsay was insufferable for many, many seasons, but I think what happened to her happens to a lot of women, which is you hit 30 and you think, okay, I've got time, but you're constantly like trying to tick down. How long do I need to be like with someone before we get engaged and then we get married? And then how long do we want to be married? And then you're like, oh my God, I'm not going to have a kid until I'm 38 and you're 30, you know? And so I think a lot of women start doing that. A lot more folks are freezing eggs, which I think is fantastic if you have the financial ability to do so. And then people seem to be more open to, you know, having kids first. I will say, in my mind, what I want to tell every woman is that if you choose to have children and you have a choice, who you choose to have children with is the most important decision of your life, not who you marry. You can get out of a marriage. Whoever you have a child with is there forever. So you better make sure they're the type of person who won't try to take custody from you, who won't make your child hate you, who you could co-parent with in a bad situation. Like, those are the things you need to be paying attention to.
Yeah. I mean, a marriage is much harder or much easier to get out of than the person that you're going to be with, raising a child with.
Yes. And I think Lindsay is also something that we'll talk about when we get to the breakdown of all the episodes of Love Island this week. She and Danielle both, especially when they first got on, were such guys' girls. Like, they really needed male validation and attention and wanted to just go out with the guys. They were pretty mean to all of the girls who came in. They were straight up mean to Amanda when she was young and early on. And then they started calling, you know, Hannah and Paige and Amanda cliquey. And it's like, what did you expect? You guys literally left them out of everything. But I honestly feel that because I was like that when I was younger too. Like, oh, girls are just kind of drama. And I'm not drama. I'm a guy's girl. Like, I feel like those of us who are elder millennials, all of the movies, all the things we were watching were like, if you want to be cool, you need to be what they would call now like a pick-me. Like, I actually really like sports. You know?
I feel like guys would accuse me of being a girl's guy.
Yes, proudly.
Proudly.
You are.
I stand for the women.
Yeah. No, I will say people have been surprised by me before.
Yeah.
Right. I've walked in and they're like, what?
Right. Oh, yeah. So,
but I like that about you. I cannot imagine having a partner or a spouse that I would have to worry about taking like in public or to hang out with my friends. I know that if I have a bunch of girls over and you're not here, they're going to be like, oh my God, where's Brandon? Like, is Brandon coming? Because a couple of things. One, you will ask every single person something really specific to them that you're curious about. And they will be like, oh my God, he remembered this from our last conversation, which is so sadly unusual. And then you will like watch whatever show we want to watch. If we want wine, you'll go get it for us. If we want food, you'll go get it for us. And my friends are your friends. They adore you.
Is this not par for the course though? Like, are people coming over to someone's house and all the women in the room saying like, I'd really like wine right now, and the husband's just like, I'm gonna go back here and watch the game? Literally.
Like, I'm not kidding. It is not normal for a husband or a partner to like want to be involved and interested. Like, I think some men tolerate it and are like, sure, I'll go. It's kind of like the guys who are like, I'll go get the stuff so I can like escape this house full of women. And I'm like, do you feel better? Do you feel more manly? I'm sorry women hate you and made you this way.
I like being surrounded by women, strangely enough.
It's true. It's why a fixture in our decor in our apartment is boobs. You really like being surrounded by them.
Well, why not? I mean, it's my home decor.
Art. I know. People come over and I'm like, I know it's very breast forward.
Yeah.
You're just going to have to accept it.
One of God's greatest creations. Like, okay.
I mean, truly. Speaking of milk, did you What a segue.
Wow.
Can you tell everyone who you figured out was a new cast member on Summer House?
Oh,
You've got this.
So thank you.
You're
So
welcome.
O'Sheen from Southern Hospitality is in the Hamptons this weekend hanging out with Wes and Jesse and Kyle and Carl. So and this is the first weekend of Summer House, usually is 4th of July weekend. So
It is.
I believe that either we're in the middle of a Southern Hospitality crossover episode, or some of those people are in the Summer House. Maddie was also up at in the Hamptons this weekend, so I'm not sure
DJ
if it's
Maddie.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if it's a crossover episode or she was DJing a party for them, but yeah, there's definitely
she and Kyle are DJing.
There's some sort of crossover thing happening this weekend, so I'm excited about that storyline.
Interesting.
But yeah, O'Sheen has an OnlyFans where he drenches himself in milk.
He's called the Milkman.
The Milkman.
I found him vile. I hated watching him on Southern Hospitality. He's just, this is mean, and I don't care because he's a boy. He's not hot enough to be that gross, you know?
Yeah, I hear you.
In my personal opinion. And I've never laid eyes on him. It's just like through the screen and people read differently. But no. And I find everything he said was so crass and gross. And I, again, am not a prude, but I just am like, do you have anything else? Like, okay, ha ha ha, first time. And then I'm like, have you read a book?
No.
Do you follow the news? Like, there just is no depth to what's happening in his brain. And he was just constantly trying to bed women and then pretend like it didn't happen. And I was like, okay, we've seen 1,000 of you. That's not interesting.
Yeah.
Like, go away.
The Austin Krolls of the world already exist. We don't need another one.
Which it brings me to one of my next thoughts was about Kristen Cavallari's new series. One thing, I saw this woman talk about it on TikTok. I wish I could remember her handle. But she was talking about like the magnification of Bravo and how we're starting to get a lot more of that. And I think bringing back Kristen Cavallari, although she's more E and then it's on Peacock, but the thing is, and I don't dislike Kristen. I loved The Hills. I have a special place for her in my heart. We're like the same age. I came of age with Laguna Beach and The Hills, and I respect the fact that she has been able, I mean, unlike any of her other cast members, to stay relevant through the years. But I just find her to be a little bit grating. I think the idea that she would go like sell out these little things for her podcast, I'm like, okay, I mean, good on you. But anyway, her friendship with Craig and Austin makes a lot of sense to me. But Craig was such a big bitch baby. I cannot stand that man. And I cannot believe that Paige was with him for so long. He is so whiny. Brandon and I
they were asking. Sorry. Yeah, so they were asking him to film like some content for her, as part of him being there.
One TikTok,
and he could not be troubled. He's like, I think I've done my job for the night. And he's like, my microphone was on, like discovering that they were going to see, that we were all going to see that he's being just such like a little wiener about everything.
He's just such a man-child. I really can't get over it. He's a man-child who thinks he's a man. Like, he goes on to this knowing he just broke up with Paige, knowing that he had overlap between Paige and Kristen. Sir, how did you not clock that was going to happen? Are you dumb?
Well, and he needs a woman to take care of him. He needs a woman to take care of him. I mean, it's March after he's been devastated by Paige. What was the word he used? Surprised,
like catching him off guard.
Oh yeah, just like out of nowhere, she breaks up with
blindsided him. Was the word.
Blindsided, yeah. And
sir, we were not blindsided. We saw that summer of y'all
in
together.
March, he's fully dating someone, like fully, like to the point where he wouldn't even do like a play kiss with Kristen on stage. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah, he was complaining the entire time before, and then afterwards, he's like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever done. I shouldn't have come on here. Wah. Even before when they were trying to film some content. Yeah, he just starts going into it, and she's like, hey, wait, let me count you down. He's like, well, you're supposed to always be rolling. And it's like, or you could just say, ha, 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 okay.
Yeah.
Like, he was rude to her, like the people working for her. And him and Austin complaining about that green room was so funny. I'm like, y'all are such babies.
We need some
And
merch.
Austin,
We need some merch that has like pictures of Craig and Austin and just says like certified bitch baby. That would be great.
I would love that, and I would wear it proudly. The thing about Austin is, like, Craig is, I can take his personality out of it and say, objectively, he's a handsome fella. I find his personality to be disgusting, and so I could never be attracted to him, but I can objectively see that. Austin's just tall. That man is just tall. He's got a face card you would decline. I mean, I cannot understand how people like Madison LaCroix, Cierra, all these beautiful women are obsessed with him.
I mean,
like,
his roster is impressive. I will say that's the only good thing I can say about him.
Yeah. And he is honestly like living proof that women will degrade themselves for a man with a sense of humor.
Well, no, even beyond that, a
tall man with a sense of humor
that you've brought into it, the height blindness.
Well, the height blindness is real. Yeah.
There's another merch idea, 100% height blindness.
Well, yes, there's height blindness with Austin, and then there is falling for the funny guy, because that's what happened to Cierra with West too. West is charming and funny, and I personally like West, but he would be a horrific boyfriend, and I think he would admit to that. But yeah, being attracted to Austin Kroll is truly so. I will never understand it. I'm like, I just could look at him. I could never kiss him. I don't know why. There's so many guys on TV that I look at them and I'm like, I feel like your breath stinks.
Oh, do you think that his breath stinks?
I just feel like he would eat like a piece of beef jerky and try to kiss you. You know?
I think that's like a assumption you have about Southern men, that they'd eat something disgusting and then try to kiss you.
Yeah, like a Slim Jim and a Dr. Pepper, and be like, all right.
That actually sounds like something you would eat. And then try to kiss somebody. Projecting. Yeah, I think so. You're the kind of person who eat a whole entire bag of beef jerky and suck down a Dr. Pepper and be like, want to make out? As I fart.
Now you put me on blast. God forbid I let out a bodily function.
That's true.
Okay, well, shall we get into the Love Island of it all? Oh, wait, I wanted to ask you if you ever figured out what a Labubu was.
So, I mean, a Labubu, from what I understand, but do not understand its significance, is just like a little keychain that's way too big, that is like some sort of like devil rabbit that you attach to your, like, you know, $30,000 bag with the carabiner, and it's literally just a devil bunny. Is that what it is?
It's not a devil bunny. It's like a doll.
They're all bunnies. They all have they have ears, and
yeah, they're like little. Well, and people are buying clothes for them, so they're buying the accessory. They're buying the accessory to their accessory, their bag. And it's what they're calling it, a bag charm. What did you call it?
Devil bunny.
No, you were trying to explain that.
What do you mean?
So they're buying this bag charm, and then they're buying clothes for the bag charm.
The bag charm is way too big. I mean, that is my biggest complaint about them. They're the size of a stuffed animal.
It's hideous. And here's my thing. I'm not going to yuck your yum. You want to get yourself a little Labubu, you go right on ahead, baby. But you couldn't pay me to wear one.
Aren't they made by that same company that makes the weird little dolls, like Funkos or whatever, with the huge heads?
I don't know. I will tell you this. When I first heard Labubu, I for sure thought they were talking about shoes. I was like, is this like a
Christian Louis Vuitton?
A Louboutin, yeah. I was like, a Labubu? Is it like a specific type of Louboutin? Like, what are we dealing with here? And then I did a quick search, and I saw those terrifying creatures. And I was like, people are purchasing these and putting them on their expensive bags.
You demon
this is something
Smurf.
Only rich people would do. Only rich people could take an expensive bag and be like, how can I make this look stupid?
Well, Amanda
Inexpensive.
Batula did an unboxing of hers, and I was like, what are we doing here? These Labubus.
People need help. Like, seek
Get
help
in the
immediately.
comments and tell us what is happening.
I'm not a Labubu fan. I don't get it. I like the name. Saying Labubu is fun.
I mean, I am in merch mode right now. I mean, I think we should make our own Labubus, and they're little, and they really are demon bunnies.
They really are.
So we're gonna make money. We're gonna make money.
Yes. So I guess if we can get all 100 of our listeners to purchase something, we can make some money.
Absolutely. Our Shopify will be opening next week.
Yeah, buckle up. Also, you can watch these videos on Spotify now, thanks to Brandon.
Oh,
being hunched over his laptop all week and communicating with Spotify HQ.
Yeah, we couldn't get them uploaded for some reason, and then now all of our episodes are video episodes on Spotify. So definitely check us out there. You can look at our beautiful faces while we speak to you.
That's right. While we talk to you about Labubos. Well, this week, while we were in North Carolina separately, Brandon went to go visit his family and I went to go visit mine, because sometimes you got to divide and conquer and get in there and see the parents and make sure everybody's good. And then we all got together and had a big dinner. But while we were gone, Brandon got his family hooked on Love Island, and I watched it in my room, because if my mom hears a curse word, she acts like it was a gunshot to the heart. And so she just was not prepared to hear the youths speak. So we watched all the episodes. We didn't do a Wednesday episode because trying to podcast whilst at our parents' was just a no-go.
Impossible.
Yeah, my mom literally was like, Rachel, what are all those videos I keep saying? And I'm like, it's a podcast that me and Brandon are doing. She's like, podcast? I'm like, you know what? Don't worry about it. Don't even watch them.
It's very important that she not watch them.
I know. But anyway, so much happened, and I had to get on TikTok. I had to take to the talk and talk through some of this, because the internet is divided, and the people who disagree with me, I fear for all of us living in a society. Okay, well, let's break it down bit by bit. At the beginning of the week is when we've done the recoupling. We're back in the villa. Everybody's together. There are way too many people. And essentially we have Pancake Gate number 2 with Huda, where she sees that Chris is not bringing her as many pancakes as Shelly, that he's gotten Shelly a flower. And I appreciate that she noticed that and was like, hey, you're making me feel like a side chick. And he was so good. He said, side chick? What? He just mirrors her. He just so clearly knows how to deal. He said unstable women are attracted to him. And she didn't clock that he was talking about her. She said, you think I'm unstable? Huda, America thinks you're unstable. And unfortunately, there are 1.3 unstable people who want to follow you and support you.
1.3 million.
Yeah. Alarming. Anyway, so she talks to him. Nick starts off the episode being mad at Elan. So this is all coming out of the heart rate challenge, which caused all kinds of controversy. And I am fully on Team Shelly for this, because Huda was really out of pocket. I also clocked that Iris and Nick got each other's heart rates up the highest. And I do think that may have had some input into what happened 2 nights ago, but we'll come back to that. So we start the beginning of the week with them kind of debriefing that. And at this point, Shelly really doesn't want to talk to Huda. She's mad at Ace. She's mad at Huda. Alandria has, gotten frustrated that Taylor didn't kiss her. She's still living in a dream world where he's still exploring her. And it's like, he literally isn't even talking to you. Nick was mad at Elan for getting Cierra's heart rate up. Cierra got Elan's up, but Nick literally licked Alandria's foot and sucked on her toe. So why are you so mad, buddy? Why are you so mad?
I mean, the biggest thing with all of this is they've been playing around with this idea that the challenges are just the challenges. And this is the first time that idea has been challenged, because now there's all these cross feelings. Like back in those early days when they were doing those kissing challenges and the baseball challenge and all of that, people were kind of coupled up, and they were like, so, in these challenges, let's go hard so that, that we win, or we, put on a good show or whatever. But now there's some real discovering going on. I have two people that I'm equally interested in, and
Mm-hmm.
we're participating in these challenges. And
And
I
it's
think that's
really late for
what's
that.
happening. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
and if you've watched the UK, you know that the heart rate challenge is usually like, they'll kind of grind on them a little bit, but it's like kissing the neck or doing this or that.
Yeah.
What happened there, and I think I said this on a TikTok, it felt like watching like porn, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
And
It was sex with
well,
clothes on.
but like it felt like watching people do something or like mirror something that they watch, but not that they do. Because we
Yeah.
know Gen Z, they are absolutely not having sex at the rate that all the other generations did. And
Mhm.
I think what I'm saying, or what I feel like I'm saying, and maybe it's just because I'm older, is like people who are watching porn and then like reenacting it, but like not actually having good sex. And I could be absolutely wrong because it seems like Cierra and Nick are getting down, but it just was so weird to watch. I'm like, why are y'all doing that in front of everyone?
Well, and another question is, was this challenge did not impact the vote or anything like that, correct?
Well, I think it did to some
No,
degree. I think
I'm saying like as far as they understood, like
no one was
this
voting on
wasn't
it.
for anything.
Huda pulling Ace to the middle and literally clapping his face betwixt her cheeks was wild. And like, I gotta hand it to her. She has moves that would break my back. Like, I don't know how she learned how to do everything she did, and like, good on her.
Right.
But the fact that she went berserk when people even thought about choosing Jeremiah for a challenge or kissing him or touching him in any way, absolutely lost her mind in that baseball challenge. And then had the audacity to like twerk Ace's face in between her butt cheeks and look
they
at
cut
Shelly and
away
say,
from
it's just
it.
a challenge.
They cut away from it on a show that has no rating.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how that's how over the top she went with it.
And I just can't, everything about Huda is about Huda. Like, she is telling Alandria, even though, Alandria, do you think I'm a bad person? How's Alandria supposed to answer that? Because all she wants to hear is, no, you're not a bad person.
Yeah.
And she can't take any responsibility, really. Even when she ends up talking to Shelly, she's like, I was hurt that I hurt you. And I'm like, why are you centering your hurt when you did the thing that upset Shelly? Like, why is it about you and your single tear?
But it goes back to even the stuff she's been saying to Shelly the whole time. Like, I chose him for you. Even though, like, I'm obviously pursuing him and he's my only option in this house or in this villa, I did it for you. You should be thanking me. It's just absolutely wild.
I hate watching her. The people who are obsessed with her, I'm like, y'all are not okay. What she does is she holds everyone hostage with her feelings, and her feelings are the only ones that matter. And when she does messed up stuff, she cries because other people are mad at her, not because she's done anything to them. Like, she is the victim in every story she tells. And I am so sick of watching it. And I'm sick of watching her be coddled.
Well,
I'm like,
and the
some of y'all didn't
editors
grow
are
up around
too.
narcissists, and it shows.
The editors are too. Because they'll just like keep cutting back to her face like,
oh, I know, her pouting all the time. I do fear that they are trying to set us up for a Huda win, and I'll explain that more later.
Well, they may not be able to control it. They may not be able to control it because she's got so many followers now that are voting for her.
Well, let's talk about the postcard challenge. This is when things really began to devolve. So the heart rate challenge started to show some cracks in these friendships because up until this point, that was also when Nick and Cierra were like, we're closed off. That's the first couple that's closed off. Usually we have people closed off going into Casa Amor. So it was like wildly late. Then we go into the postcard challenge, which is like the standing on business. And people talking about standing on business but doing anonymous notes was wild. Most people put their names on it or copped to what they asked. But the things that stood out to me were Ace calling out Shelly after they had already had that conversation, and then getting furious when Austin was like, why are you trying to run the villa with your minions? And I mean, you could just see the rage. I know, but he couldn't believe that Austin could tell.
Well,
And Austin was right.
He's so smooth, man. Ace thinks he's so smooth, and that he's flying under the radar, and that these very obvious manipulative moves are not showing. And man, I don't know what more you need to see now. Like, we all see it. Like, you're
yeah. Well, and then the funniest thing to me, what Ace is really good at is deflection. So he takes what Austin's saying and spins it on Amaya. And then they all just like keep dogging on Amaya. And I'm like, you guys are psychotic. But when Ace said, as a 5'10" man and you're 6'5", I'm going to stand. And I was like, 5'10"?
5'10"?
Question mark?
Wearing his platform heels, maybe.
I mean, we've seen him walking next to Chris. We've seen him walking next to Shelly. If that man is an inch above 5'6", I'll be shocked. I would guess he's 5'6". That would be my guess. 5'10" is a dream.
5'10" is like maybe even above average for like average at least.
I don't know. All I know is that man was standing on a box. He wasn't standing on business. There's no world where he's 5'10". No. He is, and he's got, I mean, Napoleon had an ace complex at this point. Like, he really, at that particular challenge, thought that he was going to be able to wrap this up. He was like, oh, I got this.
I have to give it to you. That's a great line. Napoleon had an ace complex.
It's true. I cannot believe the chip on his shoulder. The day before this, I'm going to war. I'm not even worried. And then that day, why don't you like me? Why are we still exploring? You literally were the one who told her prior to Casa Amor that we need to still be exploring. And then you're mad that she's doing literally what you said.
I do really like the fact that it really exposed that, I think, a problem with a lot of like relationship type things that you see in media right now, that like men are asking for women to be this like completely unattainable thing where it's like, I don't want you to try too hard or to act like you like me, but I need constant reassurance, constant, you're the best. Oh, you're great. You're like the affirmations, but also like, don't try too hard. Don't call me baby. Don't want to see me when I don't want to see you. And like Amaya being like, this is who I am. Like, I come with a lot of energy. And I think it's Chris. Is that the guy who likes her now?
No, Brian.
No, Brian. Brian's like, this is my experience with Latino women, and I love it. Give me more. Give me the passion. Give me the, we call each other baby. That's what I like.
Yeah.
And I'm like, finally, someone is like meeting her energy. And the fact that people went after her in that challenge, man, that's what catapulted her the next night.
She was already going to be up there, but people were sickened. And what's crazy about Ace, I feel like he read the art of war and how to breadcrumb women as like a way to go on the show, because he thinks that he's like playing chess and they're playing checkers. But you see that there's no woman who's going to meet him. He's mad at Amaya for giving him too much affirmation, for being too lovey-dovey. And then he's mad at Shelly for not being all in with him. And it's because he's tried to keep Shelly at arm's length over and over. He chose Amaya instead of her initially, and then he was mad about that. What else? He told her to stay open into Casa Amor, and then he was mad about that. And so and the other thing I've noticed is that he and Chris both have mentioned, like, I'm not going to chase anybody. And I just think that's so interesting that they're like, I'm not going to chase anyone, but I do expect you to somehow be submissive, but also a breadwinner, but also don't tell me what to do, but also take care of me like a mother.
No,
and I'm like, what do you want?
It's completely off. Let's talk about the other big story from that, which is the Taylor, Alandria, Clark of it all.
Okay, so Alandria finally had her big one. She finally came after Taylor, And I think you and I might feel differently about this. I felt like it was too much too late, where I was like, Alandria, like now. And the thing is, I really like her. I think she is a good person. I think that she has had to handle and absorb so many people's emotions on this because everyone goes to her, and she finally snapped. And I think the internet turned on her in a way that was like so unhinged. But I am like, why are you still trying to go after this man? Why did you try to hook up with him in the heart rate challenge and now you're surprised?
Well, I agree with what you're saying, but there's one piece that I feel like we have to acknowledge.
Okay.
And that is the fact that even after she had come back, even after he chose Clark in little scenes that we did not see prior to that, he had still been saying, I want to keep open to us. I want you to be, still thinking about me. I'm still thinking about you. I'm not 100% done with you. And if he said that even one time, he's wrong for that.
Yeah.
Like,
no, he is.
And the thing is all she was trying to expose in that moment was to Clark, like, he's still telling me that we're together. Now, what he didn't know is that he had already told Clark that.
Yeah.
And so it
she
really
just looked bitter.
She looked bitter and angry, but she did not know that Clark knew it. But so
also,
I think,
she's not the person who needs to tell Clark. Like, at that point, if it were me, I would have just been like, why did you string me along? Like, I think that's fair to ask.
And I think she did, but she had not been she had been holding it in so long that she felt like she had to bring back up what felt like a long time ago, but it was really less than a week of
That's
like,
true.
You were gone for 3 days and you threw away what we had for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And I think like her being able to say that to him in front of everybody was important to her. And I just think that it fell on America's deaf ears because we have such a short attention span with the show.
Yeah, that's
because a whole week for us was 6 episodes.
Right.
But for her, that was a week,
right.
1 week, And so I think that had it. So I hate that America obviously like didn't like that or didn't respond well to that or somehow came out on
the mean girl side of things. I also do think it's racial, like what they're doing to Alandria and Shelley. That like somehow Huda has held everyone hostage forever. And I know Huda is like half Palestinian. Like, I get it. I get that it's not a white person versus a black person. But there is something called like colorism. And there is a lot of that happening there where like these women, Shelley and Alandria, like I said, have been poised. They know the story that these shows like to tell of an angry black woman, and they are being careful not to be that person. And they have one moment where Shelley is kind of speaking out of both sides of her mouth about the Chris and the Huda and whatever, but also making valid points. And it's just frustrated. Shelley doesn't even lose it. She's just like, I'm frustrated right now. And people lose their minds. And then Alandria just gets mad at Taylor. And people are absolutely dogpiling on them for not comforting Huda. And it's like, of course they're not. They have dealt with Huda since the first day.
Well, and everyone else just gets a pass, which is obvious.
Huda
even in the voting.
Pass, this redemption arc for her, she is absolutely unhinged. She needs to be off the show. She needs to check into therapy immediately. She takes up all the oxygen in the room. And they're tired of it.
The judgment is different, and you can see that in the case of Alandria more than anyone, when she was poised and holding it all together and being everybody's mom and all of that. America loves her. The moment that she speaks her mind, then she's bottom of the middle of the pack. And I'm like, dang, just because the person that you
2 or 3 weeks ago.
Just because you're the person who is going to speak her mind and say what needs to be said and finally doesn't have like 100% decorum, America's like, nah.
It was absolutely infuriating. And then, I will say, and this is probably an unpopular take given the voting that we saw the other night, I actually think Taylor was right. And that he did stand on business and being like, fine, then I choose Clark. You want to make me choose? You want to do this right now here in front of God and everybody? I choose Clark. I was like, finally, you say something like you actually are a grown man. God forbid. You have told her this before then.
In my opinion, it was his best moment on the show so far as proving that he actually has a spine.
Yeah.
And like I don't think that he was mean when he could have like snapped back. He could have said, but he was like, let me just be clear for you then.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've chosen Clark. I don't want to hurt your feelings, but like this is where it's at. And
Yeah.
I think, and people are going to hate him for that, of course, but I think it's what he had to do. And
Mm-hmm.
what I think what I hate most about that next challenge, which is the voting challenge where we all voted and then it comes up for them, is they don't know how they're being perceived. They're not
Yeah.
looking at the internet. They're not looking at all they hear, like all Shelley and Ace hear is America doesn't like us or America doesn't think we're genuine. No, they're
Mm-hmm.
voting on it based on the last 24 hours of interactions where they're just kind of,
Mm-hmm.
they're kind of just
They're
tired of you.
reacting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're just tired of you for a second. Like,
Well, we'll talk about that in a minute because I think that's an important thing to look at, like the psychological warfare of what you're experiencing in real time versus what the rest of the world is experiencing based on what they've seen. So at the end of the episode, we see that Pepe is still mad about Hannah, and rightfully so. In this villa, people are punished for having connections. At this point, if Cierra was in the bottom 3, they should send her home based on all the prior reasoning for
yes.
why people are being sent home. Because it is unreal. Hannah should still be in the villa and Jeremiah should still be in the villa. And in my opinion, so should Andreina. But instead, they have treated it like Big Brother or Survivor, and they've kicked out all the competition. And for this, I say to anyone in casting on Love Island, I beg you, stop casting influencers.
Yes.
And I say it because we'll get into the Cierra scandal of it all. They had the Yulissa scandal at the very beginning. How are you not finding this very public information?
Well, and first of all, it's not helping your viewership because
No.
someone has 300K followers doesn't translate to 300K watchers.
But here's the thing, Brandon, I think it might, and it's bringing in watchers kind of like us, but I know more about it than you do, about Love Island, who are wanting something that is not what that show is intended to be. And it's ruining all of the votes, and it's creating this like toxic show that everybody's kind of like hate watching. Like, I need a whole night to calm down after like watching it.
Yeah, personally, I just feel like it would not affect the voting at all if they, or like, I don't think it would affect the show's popularity at all if they chose people with 1,000 followers.
Yeah, I think it shouldn't be like above a certain amount because that's the only reason that Huda and Ace initially were so like highly ranked when it was clear that a lot of people didn't actually like them. They had a lot of previous followers and it was so annoying. The other thing I want to talk about with the Pepe and Hannah, well, actually, I'll talk about that in a minute, but I have to bring up Elan's hair switch up.
Oh.
They flashed to that man and he had dark hair that was like slicked back.
I was like, who is that?
Who is this? Yeah.
You sent me a picture and you were like, what is this? And I'm like, I didn't even know that it was from Love Island. I'm like, who's this person?
And what's so funny is that Nick does the same haircut the next day or the same hairstyle, and it looks atrocious. I saw someone be like, ooh, I like this on Nick. I'm like, girl, you are maligned. That is, let those locks flow. That's hideous. It looked better on Elan than Nick. I'll say that. But it still gave me whiplash.
We were split on what looked better for Elan. You think it looks better with like his curls, and I'm like, I don't know. This like slick back look is kind of...
I agree. I think the slick back for Elan, but not for Nick. Nick looked insane. I did not like it for him at all. Okay, so after that episode, this incessant narrative of Shelley and Alandria and Cierra being mean girls continues because they really can't explain to Pepe in a way that makes sense why they sent Hannah home. And I think Cierra was kind of cold when she was talking about it, to be honest. And people did not like that. Then it cuts to the very beginning of the next episode is just Huda pouting. Huda's sitting like it's 2020 and we're social distancing. She's like in the same room as the girls, but off to the side, being so quiet, it's loud, begging without any noise for someone to ask her what's wrong. Just with her little eyelashes clumping together, just sitting around in Chris's shirt. And I'm like, and this is what I mean by holding everyone hostage with your feelings. She's not even saying a word and you can tell that the air is thick. And it's because Huda can't stand Amaya. And no one can change my mind about this. She hates, Huda and Amaya are both the criers of the villa, right? She hates that Amaya gets immediate support. But what she's not seeing is that Amaya regulates herself. When Amaya is feeling upset, she is able to articulate why she feels upset. She apologizes to people. After she yelled at Zach, she went and apologized to him, and an apology I didn't even think she needed to give him.
Oh, yeah. She's like, genuine. I felt so bad about calling you those names. And even in that, like, he was saying out-of-pocket stuff, giving out-of-pocket takes, and being all rude. She said was like, F you, I'm walking away. I don't want to get into this. Yeah,
she's like, I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Yeah, and I felt like she was completely justified in that.
She basically just called him a weirdo and walked off. And she was kind to him the next day. So, and Huda doesn't see that Amaya will remove herself and go cry by herself. And then, like, we as America know that she'll get in there and give herself affirmations. She'll talk about how she's stressed out. She's trying to flip it. She'll talk about, like, how she's just going to be herself, even if it's painful, because man after man after man has said, you're too much. And I think a lot of women can relate to that. To being someone who, when they are being their true, authentic selves, men are saying it's too much. And maybe it is for them. And I actually think it's okay for the guys to be like, hey, this is making me feel uncomfortable. But they could do it. They're not good at doing it in a way that's not rude. Ace was straight up rude. Austin should have said to her when she asked him, am I doing anything to make you feel uncomfortable? All he would have to say is like, hey, we just coupled up. So like, I'm not there yet physically, but I'm really having a good time getting to know you. And she would have obliged. When she talked to Zach, she was like, are there any boundaries that I need to know about? He said, no, mate, no, I'm fine. You know, I'm 50-50 if I want to talk to you. And I'm and now your little bitch ass is going to sit there and be like, well, actually, I didn't really want to kiss you while we were there. But, you know, I felt like I had to, you know? No, we don't know. Shut up. I hate him and his ugly ass haircut.
Well, I will say, I mean, that's the part that I love so much about Brian is like, he's like educating these men on like the cultural part of this. Like, haven't you ever like talked to a woman from a different culture who like calls everyone babe or, you know, does, you know, me more or whatever. And the guy's like, what? And he's like, yeah, this is just part of our culture. It's how we talk. And he's like, and you think she's crazy because like you are making out with her. You are like giving her all these signals. And then she starts calling you baby or like rubbing on your back. And you're like, hey, get off me. Get off me.
I have a boundary. And it's like, okay, relax. Like you can say without being mean.
Whoa.
And the thing is, she is sensitive. So if you say something to her, she will cry. But she will sit there through her tears and be like, I hear you. Okay, like she's trying. And I think that she is one of the reason that America loves her is that she is vulnerable and she is absolutely herself. She's so authentic and it just like seeps through because the truth is with Amaya, most of us were kind of annoyed with her in the first couple episodes we saw of her. It was like, whoa, girl. And then we watched her regulate. We watched her do her affirmations. We watched her apologize to people. She checks on, she's such a nurse. Her capacity for Huda and these other people, when she sees anyone is distressed, she went straight to Iris, the only one to go to Iris that morning, straight to her. She checked in on Alandria. You doing okay? I know you saw Cierra stand there. You doing okay? She checks in with Huda. And she takes on all of their feelings in a way, again, that's authentic and kind. And no one was doing that for her.
Agreed. 100%.
So I think Huda is incredibly jealous of her. At that point at the beginning where Huda's pouting, all of the women are basically coming to Amaya. Mind you, I think Shelley said something during that scene, but none of them, unless it was cut, really stood up for her. And that was messed up. I want you to even imagine if 3 men came after an acquaintance of mine like that.
Any woman.
Literally. A stranger, the way I would have ripped into them. Like, I cannot imagine sitting there and letting them speak to her in the tone and manner in which they did and just being like, well.
And I will say this, even though I hate his politics, I hate who he is in a lot of different ways. I have stood on defending and being an Austin apologist. And the fact that man thought that he was going to have like a little moment of being like, yeah, everybody at home agrees with me that Amaya's a little bit too much. Man, that backfired on that little man.
Oh, sure. He said goodbye at the end of the episode.
They said, bye.
Yeah.
Bye, Austin.
I mean, that was so wild and out of pocket for him. But so anyway, so we see Huda being jealous. We see Amaya getting the support that she needed. The craziest thing to me was Huda. She's rolling around. Andreina said she's like slamming drawers shut, slamming doors. She is the one who wrote that thing to Pepe that made Grayson cry the entire night. She did not check in on Grayson. She
Run
did
that
not
back
let Grayson
for me.
know. Okay, so
because I didn't quite get that, because even when they're in bed and she's admitting to it finally, like I didn't understand. No,
you were going down a rabbit hole of the Spotify thing. So here's what happened.
Yeah.
In that challenge, Pepe asked Cierra, like, why did y'all send Hannah home? That still doesn't make sense to me. Cierra answered. And then Pepe, when he pulled his postcard out, had an anonymous note that said, it's so clear that you still like Hannah. Why are you, basically like, why are you even here, or why are you leading Grayson on if it's so clear that you actually still have feelings for Hannah? Which obviously Grayson was already insecure about. She could already feel Pepe like kind of turning away from her. And so she says that. Immediately, Pepe is like, listen, I'm trying to do this the best I can. I'm trying to navigate it in a way that's like respectful. But I have been caught up on the Hannah thing because I still cannot understand why y'all sent her home when she was the only one with a connection. And Grayson is crying, and he's like, it's okay. And she's like, is it? Because she knows that he's not as into her.
And it was only 2 weeks ago. Like, this is what people don't realize. Like, there's been 100 episodes, but it was only a week and a half ago.
But also in the villa, like, time moves so much faster. Like, you feel like you know, because you're just around these people 24/7. And so to her, it probably felt like they had been dating for like 2 months or something.
Yeah, of course. That's what I mean. I mean, but it's like, that's the whole problem with this is that,
well, it's like
their time, their thought process around time is completely shot out.
Well, and also, like, all the people who have come off are like, they purposely don't let you sleep a lot. And so people are exhausted, they're stressed. It's like being on reality TV is psychological warfare that we're watching in real time. But anyway, so Grayson's really upset that night because the only postcard that no one said that they wrote was the one that Huda wrote. Huda's the one who wrote that to Pepe about Grayson and Hannah. Nobody knows except viewers and Chris at this point. She gets in the bed and all the girls are saying, like, whoever wrote that is a pussy. Whoever wrote that was so rude. Like, you called a stray. That was crazy. Why would someone do that? And Huda's hearing it and getting mad, slamming doors and slamming drawers because she doesn't like that they're having a reaction to, wait, what was it? One of her actions, which is her key thing is that she becomes the victim in the story. She's like, oh, I did something out of pocket that made you upset, and now you're mad at me? Well, it hurts my feelings that you're mad at me. So she gets into bed with Chris and whispers to him, hey, don't tell anybody, but like, I wrote that to Pepe, and I didn't even mean anything by it, but like, now everybody's mad at me, and they're calling me names and blah, blah, blah. Girl, they aren't calling you names. They don't know it's you because you couldn't stand on business. You were out there talking all big. Oh, bring it on. I know I'm going to have a lot of posts. You couldn't stand on business. You sat all the way down. You did crisscross applesauce and sat there like a little child while she took strays and is sobbing because of you. And yeah, everybody in the villa thinks it was a really pathetic move. So she was the only one who didn't take any accountability for that. And then she goes to Alandria and is like, they're having their thing where they're trying to like get back on the same page and have a friendship. And she's like, I'm hurt that I hurt you. And Alandria's like, okay, let's just get back on the same page. Same thing with Shelly, where Huda was like, no, I did bring him here for you. And Shelly's kind of like, you could see Alandria and Shelly both just being like, sure. Okay. And it was Huda trying. I will say that. It was the first time we've seen her take accountability for anything, but it was still such a pathetic apology that I'm like, you really have no concept of how you treat people.
Well, and as bad as it was, it actually probably ended up working out best for Grayson in her actual life because she found out, she knew. And even when she gets sent home, it's like, okay, well, now at least you know, like, he was not into you. And the fact that he switched up so quickly and is now like looking like he might even start pursuing Iris is, I mean, it's pretty interesting. Pepe's out there. I didn't like him at
Pepe?
first, but I'm a big fan of Pepe now.
Well, let's get into the vote because it was so interesting. So part of what's interesting to me about how they did it is that they knew what they were doing that night with that episode, because we voted on the rankings prior to the episode, but we voted on our favorite Islanders, boy and girl, after the episode. And I think you can really see the switch up there. Excuse me, I burped. Okay, watching Ace put himself at the front of the line and then have to walk down
all the way
person by person all the way to the end. I will say I did love that. I did love that piece of reality.
He thought he was number one. I mean,
what's crazy is that he thought that on the first one, most genuine. And then the second question, I think, was boyfriend material. And after being put last for most genuine, or second to last, he was like, you know what? They probably do think I'm boyfriend material. Put himself first again. Sir, can you learn a lesson? Can you read the room? So I think that was jarring for him. I think America putting Taylor and Clark at the very end. I know we're riding for Alandria. I know we're mad at Taylor treating her the way he did, but he really has not done something super diabolical. He just liked a different girl, y'all.
I really don't understand that the Clark and Taylor.
Well, I feel bad for Clark. She has caught the absolute worst of it, and that woman did nothing but go into Casa Amor and meet a boy who liked her.
Well,
like, she has been kind.
Some of the voting on Clark's part is that she's just new to the villa, and I think like a lot of people have locked in like who they would want to vote for, and I think and I don't think that anybody,
they're mad at Taylor and they don't know her.
Yeah, and I think part of it also is the questions prior to, like you said, we didn't know what happened, and people were just voting on like, who do you think's genuine versus like not who do you like. And then I think that the voting after the fact was a little changed, evidenced by the fact that Clark wasn't anywhere near the bottom and didn't even have to stand up there.
Well,
because I don't think people have a feeling about her of negativity or even think that she needs to be gone. It's just that she's attached to Taylor, and Taylor, people didn't like his response, even though
and Taylor told her that. To his credit, one thing I will give him is that he and Clark both handled that with a lot of grace. And Taylor told her, like, this is because of me and Alandria. This is not you. Like, you're taking this because you're with me. And she's like, I know. Like, she is handling it. I would be in tears, inconsolable, if I had to get slimed over and over. Like, well, I'll tell you who, took it like a champ.
I'll tell you who I would hate to be more than anybody. And that is Shelley. Because of all of the people that I would be worried that America was seeing something that I wasn't seeing, it would be Ace.
Yeah.
And because like his actions and his words have not matched up even in her own understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start seeing that America is saying like, we don't like this guy, and then we're going to put him at the end for all these other things, genuine boyfriend material. It's like, what am I not seeing? Like, what am I going to see when I get home? And the truth of the matter is there's not a lot. She's fully co-signed the way that he's manipulated this thing all the way through.
That's
but I
true.
think I would be thinking, oh, is he talking to other people? Is he saying bad things about me? Is he saying one thing, but actually like in confessionals saying that he's not interested in me or that he's interested in other girls or whatever?
That honestly, okay, this is my conspiracy about Ace and Shelley. I do think that they knew each other and dated.
You're like the Alex Jones of reality TV. Like you guys you haven't found a conspiracy theory that you won't believe. You're the Aaron Rodgers of reality TV.
First of all, how dare you? Watch your mouth. I just like it for reality TV. And I do think that they knew each other based on the Valentine's thing, him telling all of his dancers to say Happy Valentine's Day, Shelley. And the fact that she's not more concerned lets me know if I were her and I saw least genuine and I knew that I knew him outside the villa, I would be like, oh, they know. That's why they did that to us. Oh, they know.
Yeah. Well, and
I wouldn't be thinking about him.
Well, and that goes back to, I'm not going to talk about, what may or may not be about Taylor because I don't want to be involved in that kind of online stuff. But there is stuff that's been discovered
Lots
about
of
all
rumors.
of these people. And so my thing,
Yeah.
if I saw that America didn't like me, my mind would immediately go to what old tweet have they found?
Yeah.
What thing that I've done or have participated in? Like what Southern cotillion pictures have they pulled up? Like I would be so scared.
You don't have any of those.
No,
though.
I'm just saying, like if I was them and had done any of those things.
Oh, I see. Well, okay. So what's
like,
different is like we did not have a digital footprint as teenagers.
No.
And I think that is such a gift because I did not start posting on the internet until I was 20? And it was stupid stuff. But it never something like racist or crazy. And I grew up in the South. Y'all, what are y'all doing? But yeah, I think like now I think what's so shocking to me is like, why have they not caught these things? Like the stuff that Yulissa said, the slurs that she said, it was on a podcast that was circulating. Like it just seems like it would be very easy to find this information and like they were willfully ignorant of it. And so that can get us into Cierra. She posted, I honestly don't know when it was. They're saying it's old. I don't know what that means, if it's like a couple years old or what.
I mean, how old could it be when you're 20 or 24 years old?
She's 25 or 26. And again, I have a thing where I'm like, y'all do not need to get Botoxed that early. But so if this was a few years ago, then she's like, 22, going to get Botox and filler and stuff like that. And she's labeling out all the stuff that she's getting. And she's saying what she's doing to her eyes. Excuse me, I keep like burping. What she's doing to her eyes. And she uses this C word to describe her eyes looking Asian, essentially. It's a slur that you would put about that. And I do think people have a point online about how when racial slurs are done toward the Asian community specifically, people are kind of like, they're fine. And they ignore the severity of it. But it's wild to me that she put that in writing on the internet as a micro-influencer. It leads me to believe, based on how intentional she is on her speech and all of that, that she does not know the depth of that word and that it's a slur. And that does not forgive it at all. Because why would you say something like that, targeting an entire population as you're trying to fix something in your mind on your face? Like, that's a wild thing to post.
I don't think that's the problem. And one of the problems with the show and the way that it can totally, utterly ruin your life is that you don't know that people are out there saying these things and like assuming what you meant by it. And you don't have an opportunity to apologize and say like, oh my gosh, I completely forgot I even posted that. And I've since learned that that's extremely offensive and blah, 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 blah. It's like you're just sitting there acting like your life's fine and you're finding love on an island. Meanwhile, everybody's calling you a racist online, you know?
Let me tell you, when that woman gets her phone back, someone call an ambulance.
I mean, literally.
I would have a heart attack. That'd be Demi Lovato having a heart attack out there.
That's the whole thing. It's like, I'm like, I don't even want to be on the internet because like, I'm just fearful that like I'll say something accidentally and not know what it means or something and get canceled. Yeah. So I can't imagine the stress.
First of all, only white men think they're going to get canceled for stuff like that.
Come on. Well, we do get canceled.
Oh my God. Who? Who didn't bounce back?
Listen, we get canceled for 6 months and we have to go away and apologize.
I know. It's really hard.
I know. And then we come back and we make more money than ever.
Oh, but we're still so traumatized by our 6-month cancellation.
It was so hard.
God, go cry. Anyway, I do think that particular challenge was fascinating to watch. You could watch Cierra in real time because you have to remember the last time they heard from America, Cierra, Alandria, and Shelly were the faves. They were safe. Huda was in the middle, right? When they saw, because the last time America voted, Amaya was in the bottom. So when they saw Amaya be at the top in every single lineup and for the most liked Islander of the girls, you could see them in real time being like, oh, wow. This is...
Well, perception has changed.
Yes.
And a
And I
lot
think
has
Cierra thought
happened.
she was on lock. She thought she was on lock. And she is in the dead center of all of these things. And seeing Iris above her, I think really bothered her because, again, Iris was in the bottom when they sent Hannah home. And that was the last time they heard from America. And so I really enjoyed watching her absorb that. They obviously, after the stuff came out about her posting that, she was essentially cut, all but cut from, we didn't see any of her, what are they called? Why can't I think? Confessionals, all of that. Like we usually get a lot of screen time of Cierra, and we did not that particular episode, or Nick. And I think that's interesting. I think it's interesting they let her be the deciding vote. And you could tell, it's not like they could cut that because they were all standing where they were standing the entire time. So we have to talk about the vote. First of all, Alandria standing behind Austin really threw me. That really threw me. I'm assuming I know she and Austin were friends inexplicably, but I also think that she was trying to kind of throw her vote because I think in that brain of hers, she still doesn't want Taylor to go home for some reason. But I thought that was really odd. I could not believe.
She was early on too. And so when she made her decision, the cards weren't on the table. And I think some people's decisions had really surprised her. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that she was thinking about, I wasn't even thinking about it in that way with the first couple of votes, because then after that, people start being put in a really bad position where it's like, okay, like if I don't do what I think I need to do here, this person's going to go home versus like, no, I'll just jump behind Pepe because I want to be friends or I care about Austin, but I don't want necessarily think he's the person who needs to stay.
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting because we know the most calculated Islanders are Cierra and Ace, like without question from either side of the villa. And they were the last two to go. So we know that producers know they are the most calculated as well. Watching Pepe get behind Taylor was very surprising for me. But in retrospect, and given what we know now about him trying to connect with Iris, that does make sense to me. And there is a friendship there. So, okay. Who else stood behind Taylor? Do you remember?
Nick, Cierra.
Nick, Cierra, Ace, and Pepe.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it started, Pepe was the first, and then Nick went, and I was like, oh, I really thought because they had been talking at the beginning that Nick and Cierra, because they're friends with Iris and TJ, might try to keep them. And I forgot that Cierra and Nick both are calculated about trying to win this money. And it's clear they've talked about it, like off mic. So I think that was calculated. Them and Nick and Taylor have been friends since the jump. So that didn't surprise me when I saw it. So we have it stacked up at this point where there are 3 girls behind Andreina. And there are 3 boys behind Taylor. And these are the only 2 people everybody else has to go home. If I am Cierra, there is no world where I go get behind Taylor. I don't care if you voted for him or not. I'm going to get behind Andreina. Actually, there was one more person because it wasn't tied. Taylor had one more person so that if she stood behind Andreina, then they would be tied and there would have to be some sort of tie break, which is what I would have done. I would have just been like, I'm going to stand behind a girl that I like, that I think deserves to be here.
Did Elon stand behind him?
No, he weirdly stood behind Jaden. I don't remember
who
else it was. I wish I could. It'll probably come to me at like a weird time. But yeah, crazy. Because like Shelly, Huda, and someone else stood behind Andreina. And the fact that Cierra went and stood behind Taylor, she stabbed that act. Because if she had stood behind Andreina, she could go to Alandria and to Iris and say, hey, I didn't save Taylor. Sorry about that, Alandria. Iris, I didn't stand behind TJ because he wasn't going to be able to win, even if I did. And if someone was going to win, I wanted it to be one of our girls. Mm-hmm. Like, you want to be called a girl's girl? That's what you do. Instead, she slapped Iris and Alandria in the face. She got behind Taylor, the guy that had just played in Alandria's face the night before, and did not get behind TJ to support her bestie in the villa, Iris. And I was like, wow, like that mask slipped that night.
Right. No, 100%. And
And
so,
Alandria was mad at her in the next episode too.
yeah, I
But
mean,
I did want to say this about Amaya because Amaya was so beloved, and you could see Zach already trying to backpedal. Did you know he was in Big Brother UK?
no, I had no idea.
So this makes a lot of sense that now he's backpedaling to try to get back in with Amaya, and if not her, then he's got Alandria, who also needs to couple up with someone. I do not like him. I do not like him at all. But Brian, I will ride for. And I know we talked about him earlier, but Brian, before anybody in the villa knew that Amaya was beloved by America, that man stood up for her multiple times. He pulled her aside even before the postcard challenge and was like, hey, the stuff, or maybe right after that, and told her, the stuff that they said about you, I don't think that. Like, I like you. I like that type of support. I think that's great. He did it in the challenge in real time.
And saying,
And
like,
you know
I
what?
like your fire.
shut
I
them
like
all
your
up.
passion. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
I like your fire. I like your passion.
But he gave the boys a lesson in culture at that fire pit. And
Yes.
I tell you this all the time. The only thing that could shut men up when they're piling on
other
someone
men.
is another man. And he stepped up. He's new. He's Casa Amor. And he said, hey, guys, y'all don't know about Hispanic culture. This is what our women do. Like, you can't take it so seriously. And what did they do? Even Ace buttoned it right up. So I have so much respect for him. And honestly, if he gets with Amaya, that will be my vote. But I am worried that producers are trying to set us up. They have been working so hard on this Huda redemption arc that I think because she's got so many followers that it could be her. But I will not be surprised if the last standing are Pepe and Iris, Amaya and Brian, and Huda and Chris. I think something's going to happen with Cierra and Nick. Like, I don't know what, but people are not here for it. They are so annoyed by her right now because I think what we saw as her being eloquent and thoughtful and all of that at the beginning, now we're like, oh, wow, that was really strategic on her end. And we saw that mask slip when she did not support either of the women in the villa who she would claim are her best friends.
I'm going to have to see more. And maybe it's just because I'm not watching as closely as you are, but like, I feel like she just really made an error in decision making in this last episode. Like,
Obviously.
And I think it was all based on being afraid that if she did something that Nick didn't like, that it would jeopardize her chances of A, staying with Nick, and B, winning the money. And I think that's where I think that's where it all came from. Like, I don't think it's any deeper than that. Like, I think.
Well, but I think that's what people need to remember when they go on these shows is that if you want the audience to like you in a show like this, where it matters if they like you, you need to be someone who would stand up for your friends. Like, you following the boy and the money instead of like being a good friend is not going to help you win that money from America. And I think if they're in the three couples, they will not win. There's no road to that. Ace and Shelly are not going to win, and Nick and Cierra are absolutely not going to win.
I think whoever Pepe is with, if the vote was today, whoever Pepe is with would win.
I don't know. I think whoever Amaya is. If Amaya and Brian get together, that's going to be a force to be reckoned with. But also same for Pepe and Iris.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So we'll see. Let me tell you what, Pepe, he got a type, and I'm it.
Yeah. You'd be in Pepe's eye line.
Yeah, Pepe loves blonde-haired girly.
Yeah.
I'm too old for him, but still, I mean, that is to turn down Andreina. When I saw that, I was like, "Are you okay? Can someone check on him? Does he need a physical?" And then we see the third blonde bombshell that he's obsessed with, and I'm like, "Okay, he has a very specific type." And there's something to be said for that, but I don't know. I still like Pepe. I think that he is a very nice guy. And I want good things for him. And I like Iris. I think she's the cool girl Cierra wishes she was.
Yeah, I see that.
She's the cool girl Sierra's trying to be.
And last night I did a deep dive trying to find out if she's MAGA coded, and I could not find anything to say that she was MAGA coded, which was
the
helpful. Worst
thing about her is that she was really interested in a guy that was MAGA coded. And like, if you couldn't tell he was, that's alarming. But
she seems like there's nothing out there yet.
Yeah,
least.
she seems very sweet and very genuine. And I think I'll say it one more time. She is the cool girl Cierra seeks to be. And Cierra, girl, I hope you're okay. You're going to need a glass of water and some Xanax when you get out of that villa.
All right. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up the episode for today. We are going to be back with more episodes this week. We're going to be covering The Valley, which we missed out on. We're going to be covering the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives reunion. So be looking for those episodes coming up this week. Follow us at popsnitch.com. That's where all of our links are. So we want you to follow, subscribe, all the things. There'll be more information coming up about future events and wanting to connect with you in person. But that's it for Pop Snitch this week.
Okay, we love you. Bye.